Itami-senpai, here, please accept this.
Start with Scott Pilgrim, the references, the humor, and the touch of fanciful, and then slam it at 100 miles per hour at the likes of Kill la Kill and Panty and Stocking, and you might get something with the sensuality of Odd Man 11. A 50-chapter manga filled to the brim with lewd jokes without crossing the border into H-manga territory, filled with humor and starting with a general episodic nature that gradually arcs into a greater story, where all of the seemingly silly and ridiculous pieces fall into line. Warning, this is much different and much raunchier than almost anything I've ever covered on this channel, so if someone wants to read this after the recommendation, do so at your own peril. Well, whatever. Here it goes. Odd Man 11 stars our girl, Setsu, who is in love with Itami, the brother, a huge masochist. But in order to become his girlfriend, she needs to defeat all his evil exes, the Odd Men. This sounds familiar, but there's a twist coming. First though, let's meet the roster. You spend most of the introductory chapters meeting different ones, but they are neither met in order to their number or challenged in the number of their order, as they all interact casually with Setsu most of the time inside and out of school. Our contenders are...
You know, I won by way more than I thought I would.
Didn't I tell you you'd win with me around? That dog wears glasses and might act intelligent, but she's actually pretty stupid.
Odd Man 1, the dog. She is a straight-up dog, has and everything, definitely crosses the line into furry territory, but in the weirdest way.
She doesn't kill me, even though she could do it any time if she felt like it. Don't you see, my sister is very kind. She's the kindest person I know.
Odd Man number 2, the sadist. This is actually the main guy's older sister. She is the one currently dating him, as she essentially used her brutality to keep them away under the guise of protecting her brother, which obviously isn't a concern as she is a sadist and...
Setsu, what exactly is it you like about Itami?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that too. Honestly, he's kind of a pain in the...
Andy grins if you pee on him. He gets a from being bitten by a dog.
And he when you break his front teeth.
Odd Man number 3, the masochist. This is the younger Itami and the main guy that Setsu is after in the story. Brother and sister, sadist and masochist makes sense in an other side of the coin type of way. He's generally self-respecting and casual unless directed otherwise, in which case he certainly fits the description of odd.
And here's the autograph for your grandmother.
Could you make it out to Kome?
Odd Man number 4, the collector. She is a cyclops, which you'd notice immediately, but also a successful manga author who graduated a year before the rest of them and lives in an expensive high-rise loft where she collects things of interest. And some of those things are recipes for magic spells and rituals.
Nurse?
How do I look?
That looks great on you.
Do I look sexy?
Yes.
I see. You actually love me, don't you, Setsu?
Odd Man number 5, the... Okay, unironically, despite her cruel but descriptively accurate name, Kirara, or Odd Man number 5, is one of the most sincere, likable, wonderful characters in the series. Don't get me wrong, she's definitely and always after Setsu, so it's accurate, but she is also shown to deeply care as the series goes on. But I suppose I won't spoil anymore. Odd Man number 6, the Mandragora. This one is actually a gag. She's like an Easter egg and never has a line of dialogue in the entire series. In my own reading, I actually didn't notice her at all. I had to look it up afterwards.
And that's true, you know. When you feel someone's gaze on your exposed skin, your muscles contract out of nervousness, and you look slimmer. Having been completely since I was born, my muscular strength is now far beyond a normal person's.
Odd Man number 7, the... She is once again what she is described as. However, apparently, due to the way that people's bodies tense up when they're looked at, when being her constant state of being, her skin has developed extreme flexing and muscular ability, making her extremely strong. Yes, it makes no sense. It's basically JoJo's logic. It's ridiculous. That's this manga for you.
What are you even doing at the school gym during summer vacation? Huh?
Do you two know each other?
It's fine. Just ignore her.
Odd Man number 8, the lowlife. Her whole thing is that nobody has ever liked her. She's very cynical and rude, with the exception, I guess, to the Itami brother. She is the only explicitly lesbian odd man. Also, I'm gonna read these manga panels myself. That was Choco. She's number 8, the lowlife. Could you order one more plate of squid, please? So she was an odd man. Watch out for her. She's got some kind of communication disorder. Also, she's a lesbian. Huh? But you're a lesbian too, aren't you, Kidara? No way, I'm bi. The difference between being bi and lesbian are as different as night and day. What about you, Fujo? I just like you, Setsu. Other than that, I'm not interested in girls. So, you might wonder why she dated Itami brother. Well, I'll spoil this funny detail. She actually had eyes on the sister, but didn't think that she could pull it off with her, so she dated the brother and just made him wear girls' uniforms and a wig. This fits with him being the masochist, but unfortunately, it still wasn't good enough for her, and they went their separate ways.
I heard you always eat lunch here alone.
Because if I hang out around the school while people are eating, it would just be a bother to everyone.
Odd man number 9, the unclean. She fits the stinky girl trope. Her whole thing is that she's never once bathed in her life and smells terrible, and her whole class has been wearing gas masks all year long, so she's never actually seen any of their faces.
You fell for that hook, line, and sinker, fool. That was a fake. You know how the silhouette in the first Zeta Gundam opening wasn't actually Zeta Gundam? It's just like that.
Odd man 10, the deep one. She's a squid girl who spends all of her time at the bottom of the school pool. She also likes eating squid, ironically, and catching and eating fish. Odd man number 11. Now, I said that there would be a twist. You didn't forget, did you? Well, here it is. And it's not really a spoiler because the cover of the manga itself sort of leans towards this. Plus, there's like a not 0% chance that you would have even heard of this manga if not for the video, which, by the way, you should totally like this video, comment, and share so I have enough money to survive. Anyways, if you were expecting a battle manga type of deal, that is actually not the direction this manga takes. The twist is that in the process of pursuing and challenging the odd men to get to Itami brother, all of his ex-girlfriends fall in love with the protagonist, Setsu, even spawning drama and fights between different odd men on who gets to take her. Setsu even dates one of the odd men for a time, but even though they debate over who gets to spend time with her and do whatever, she slowly manages to bring all the odd men together and being friends. Previously enemies and rivals, all into friends and lovers. It's like if Scott Pilgrim became a gay harem partway through. I mean, I guess it does with Wallace a little bit, but, you know, it's missing the point. Hilariously original and a great spin on a central premise that I've really enjoyed in the past. Despite the levels of debauchery and dumpster diving into tons of fetishes, though, I do think that there is a sincere love of the medium and of anime culture underpinning it, with references to countless manga and anime, at one time even having a character tell another to stop doing the shaft tilt, something most associated, of course, with the Monogatari series.
Go ahead.
This here is Class 3-2's Odin. They let me have it piping hot as a service. Here, say You've been truant all this time. You wouldn't come see me even when I called the dorms. So why did you suddenly come back to school?
That's...
You'd listen to her more than you listen to me.
Please stop giving me the shaft look.
I guess something I really like about these characters, though, is that they're cast as outcasts, the odd men, and that it's implied and stated directly that they are present in countless other schools all over the place. They are intentionally a creative analog for misfits of society in our own world, and bringing them together, it really gives this whole manga a feeling of being a judgment-free area. Don't get me wrong, they all have plenty of negative things to say at different times for each other, in front and behind each other's backs. I mean, some of them hate each other for part of the time, but Setsu's positive acceptance of their quirks and differences and thoughtful gifts to help them live out and emphasize their differences really give a feeling of acceptance and positivity that's surprising in such a comedy, gag, and raunchy manga. This series could have easily been much meaner or cruel, having characters by the name of or lowlife gives the impression of negativity, but you have to remember that that's how the outside world sees them, defining them by their perceived unacceptable differences. And while these traits aren't necessarily inaccurate even, you come to see them more fully, or in the least not see them in that odd, negative light. Fits as well for a series so intent on running through any list of some of which are beyond the pale of being not for me. But Setsu, even with her personally not being into many of them often, she just politely states her disinterest and refrains from judging them. It ends up being oddly wholesome, an adult comic that despite its cartoonish, childlike silliness, feels mature in a real way. Also, I have to mention it because it's killing me every time I recognized it. So, itami in Japanese is sort of a reference to pain. When you get hurt, you might say ita. So, naming two characters into sadism and masochism, itami, is a very funny pun of their interests. Same thing with the dog. Her name is Inota Wan. Inu, meaning dog in Japanese, and wan being the onomatopoeia for bark in Japanese. The is also called nuida, which is an obvious katakana for the English word nude. It just goes on and on, too. The squid girl is named Ika-chan, Ika meaning squid in Japanese. I don't know, as someone who's put a lot of effort in the past into learning Japanese, it always makes me so happy to catch on to and recognize the endless puns that series often put into their works, so hey, if you read it, maybe you could catch a couple as well. There's a couple really good double-use puns with the word musume at one point that had me laughing. Anyways, final tangent, but try and bring this around to something more important. It's strange to me how niche this artist seems to be. I mean, I guess they got 75k on Twitter, but less than 1,000 ratings on AniList. In the Western sphere, they are pretty much a ghost, which is odd because their chaotic, cute art style is something that I think would blend really well with Western anime culture and sensibilities. So send them some love if you like the series or even just like their art. I've yet to check out their other works, but I do plan to in the future. I hope their free-flowing, unrestricted creative vision and energy can reach even more people as the months go on. To summarize though, it's chaotic, it's violent, it's unique, it's Odd Man 11, or in the words of Choco,
This manga is filled to the brim with lesbians, boobs, French kissing, and all the things that humanity loves.
That's some amazing bias.
thank you very much for watching this video. Hey, look, it's my face. I'm continuing to lose weight. Guess what? 50 pounds. I'm down 50 pounds. I want to give a special thank you to Core from Spilling the Milk, who actually told me about this series. I'd never heard of it before. And also to all of the wonderful voice actresses that lended their role. I will have them on screen so you can, of course, see them all. And then in the description if you want to check out any of them individually. Again, there is a version, I'm sure you can imagine, on my Patreon that's a bit different than this one. So I would really appreciate the support. And if you want to see a different version of this, I don't know how it would be different. I can't imagine. Then please feel free to subscribe to my Patreon. I, of course, need the support. And speaking of Patreon, here's some of my top patrons, once again. Daniel Frowsing, Zioma, Benny, Young Suk Chong, Rob Paulson, and everyone else. Lastly, this background is going away. I am moving alongside my other housemates, so in the future you will probably see a different background for my videos. Because of that, I am going to try to keep my upload schedule about as good as it has been, but we'll see. And also, check out my side channel if you haven't already, Hiding in Private. You can see how much weight I lost if you go to my side channel, because I released the giant Persona 4 analysis video. It's like 14 hours long, and I was considerably heavier then. I also dropped a 40-minute video on Sekiro, and also talking about FromSoft in general, which I think is pretty good. And I'm going to Poland, and need the money for that, but I'm also going to be filming a video there too, so check it all out. I'm trying my best. Goodbye.